Welcome to the Franchise Woman Podcast, where passion and purpose collide, profits are made, and relationships forged. I'm Rebecca Monet, CEO and Chief Scientist at Zoracle Profiles, along with my co-host, community advocate, speaker, author, and entrepreneur, Tracy Kawa. Today's special guest is Stacey Firth. She's a franchisee with 30-minute hit and the VP of franchise development also. She's going to talk all about that. 30-minute hit is a 30-minute woman-only express fitness program combining boxing, kickboxing, self-defense, and core conditioning to create one of the most rewarding workouts anywhere. In just 30 minutes, members can punch, kick, sweat, learn, and burn their way to results they never thought were possible. I'm tired just reading that, girls. Stacey, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, Stacey, what was your initial attraction to 30-minute hits?
Well, I started actually as a member, so I booked a free trial. I was doing other fitness classes and just trying to find my thing. And I wanted to try kickboxing. A lot of kickboxing places at the time looked really intimidating. Like it was very dark colors, very masculine. And I was like, am I going to get punched in the face like at these places? It was just scary. So I stumbled across 30-minute hit. It was new at the time in my area. And I booked a free trial. I went in and, 2 stations in, I was like, what is this workout? It was kicking my butt. And at the end of it, I was just like, I was barely listening to her tell me about membership. So it was like, how do I own one of these? Because it was crazy to just feel immediately the confidence and the adrenaline rush and the empowering feeling and all that. Like literally after one workout, I was just so pumped. So,
wow.
It really is true when I think about it. A lot of gyms do have a very strong masculine energy and are intimidating to women. And we want to be strong, right? We want to be fit, but to walk into a situation where it feels more masculine for me, it would be intimidating. It sounds like for you too. And
well, especially with like a more male dominant sport, typically with kickboxing, like it was intimidating for me to think about like working out in that type of sport-based atmosphere with men. Like naturally they're just a different build than us, right? So I didn't know what to expect, but I definitely knew I didn't want to be like in a ring with men. I didn't want to look silly doing something for the first time. It was just like a combination of things, but it was just overall the atmosphere and the non-intimidating like marketing and how inviting it was, and it just felt really welcoming and just super, I don't know, just easy to walk in and do a trial there. So yeah.
I think it's interesting that it sounds as though you were already working out, you were already in shape. And then to participate in an activity where you really feel challenged and you're saying to yourself, but wait a minute, I'm already in shape. This must be taking me to the next level.
Yeah, it was crazy. Like honestly, because it's 13 stations and it starts off with like your warm up, then you have a punching station and your kicking station. And I still remember to this day, halfway through this kicking station, and it's just 2 minutes. And my legs felt like 3,000 pounds each by the end of that 2 minutes. I was like, how do I keep lifting my leg up? Like I was like, and I thought that exact thing. I'm like, I thought I was in shape. Like this is, and you are like, you can be like, we have triathletes that come, we have, people that have never set foot in a gym before ever. But like, what's nice is that you can only go as hard as you're capable of going. You have a trainer there to like engage with you and guide you based on your physical fitness level and skill levels. So it was like mind blowing, but at the same time, so energizing. And it was fun. First of all, like that, it was, regardless of how much I was dying and sweating, it was like in a fun way. And at the end I was like, wow, that was like, and you're also like, oh my gosh, that was only 30 minutes. And thank God it was only 30 minutes. Yeah. So it was, a bunch of different things made me like fall in love with it right away.
What's interesting to me is on your first trip in, not only was it exhilarating and exciting and fun and pushed you to the limits, but you kind of knew you wanted to own a 30-minute hit.
Yeah, I did. I was doing commercial real estate and property management, kind of going to, your typical 8 to 5 job where you're commuting. And it's like, I liked my coworkers, and I was good at my job, but I didn't love it. And my husband and I at the time were thinking of like kind of the next stage, like having kids and all that. And I knew that I didn't like being somebody's employee, but I didn't know what I would do on my own. I never thought of franchising ever, because when you think of franchising, for me, I always thought of like McDonald's and like these type of things. It's intimidating sometimes to even think of franchising. It feels like this big thing, and it feels expensive and scary and huge and like it just overwhelming. But when I walked into that, I was just, that first day I was like, okay. And then I kept going, and I was really paying attention to the owner's life at this location. She was a mom of 3 kids. She was there sometimes. She was not there sometimes. Her location was busy. She had a small dedicated group of trainers. And I was just like, I want your life. I was like, I want that life. Like that just seemed so enjoyable to me, that you can have this business and you still have that part of yourself that's yours and thriving and exciting to be at, but then you can go and be a mom and be off to pick your kids up from school. So I looked at her life and I was like, I want this life. That's what in my head I wanted.
Yeah, great that you had that vision painted in front of you. Right?
Yeah, for sure.
You knew you wanted to aspire to. So tell me about this idea of loving what you do and having fun, right? They say that when you love what you do, you don't work a day in your life. What do you think the benefits are for you of just being in a field that you love?
That's exactly true, honestly. Like I remember the very first day I showed up and I was just like, it was weird. I was like, this is my life. Like, I remember when I had like a trainer running the floor and I was just in there working out with my members and I was having so much fun, and my gym was packed and music was going and I was just doing the workout. And I was like, this is so, like, you just have those moments. And I remember what station I was on. I was doing uppercuts and I just like looked and I'm like, this is so weird that this is my life. Like it's just never felt like work ever. Like ever. It's just like, every business goes through things like, you'll have your favorite trainer quit and you're like, you always have something kind of going on, but it's yours. So it's like, it's your problem to fix. It's your whatever, like it's yours and you care about it. And it's true. It's just never ever felt like work, even in the tough times and the high times, whatever. It's just because you enjoy it, right? You care about it. So
I think it really makes a difference, right? When you're going to the studio and you love the people, you love the work that you have to do. That's so rare. Like you said, many of us have had jobs we've enjoyed, but there's a whole lot of pieces that we didn't enjoy, or even businesses that you do so you can make a living. But to truly be excited about getting up every morning and doing what you do. So let me backtrack just a little bit, because you got your first location, but then you got a second and third. Is that correct?
Yeah, so we went a little bit crazy for a few years there. We opened our first location, and I think it was like 6 months into owning that location, we bought our second location. Got that one up and running, and a year after that we opened our third location. So it was a bit of a whirlwind. In between that, we did have our first baby. So I remember actually vacuuming to get ready to open our third location with my baby strapped to my chest in the carrier.
Aww.
It was like we signed the lease while I was in the hospital, actually, for the third location. It was or we were finishing the lease or something like that. I can't remember, but they brought the paperwork to me at the hospital. So it's over 3 years we opened 3, and it was a whirlwind, and it was fun, and it was crazy, but that's just kind of the way we roll. So now we only own one location, just because just kind of made sense. Our life has changed a little bit over the years, and I've started to, help obviously on the corporate side of things a little bit more. So we still own our original location. Our second location, actually 2 of our members purchased it, and they're killing it and rocking it there still. And our other location, our third location, one of our trainers bought it, and she's an amazing owner as well. So it's pretty cool. We kept it, just, I don't know, we love it, but yeah, they're in good hands. And then now I help more on the side of things and still own our one location.
That's great.
Crazy.
I get that you love what you do, but you're a mom, you have a franchise, you work in franchise development for the home office. You've got to still need your reprieves sometimes, I would think. How do you get those? What do you do?
For me, I have it's taken some time over the years because I'm definitely like a people pleasing personality, and I say yes to literally everything until you like deflate, right? Like you just, like that's just my personality. I understand that about myself. But over the years, I've gotten better at kind of like setting my own boundaries on what I need, setting non-negotiables for myself. Like before my day gets too crazy and I get into the swing of things, I work out 4 days a week. It's non-negotiable for me. Like sometimes I have to shift which day it is. You have to have some flexibility, obviously, in life. But I have those non-negotiables that I stick to so that I can stay sane and do the things that I need to do to be like a productive human.
Yeah.
But also feel like, as I've added more to my plate over the years, it's also kind of recognizing that you can't do it all. Like I can't do it all. I loved being a trainer on my floor. I can't be a trainer on my floor all the time. My life has changed. I have 2 kids that are in hockey nonstop, and I'm busy, and I help with corporate, and it's like, there's a lot going on. So it's just learning how to delegate, looking at my team, what their strengths are, really letting them do those things, and focusing on the things that I enjoy and delegating things that I don't so much. So I think it's a combination of all of that, but just having that balance and just kind of understanding that you can't do it all. What can you get off your plate? If you're adding more, you got to get rid of something else. Like my house sometimes gets neglected, and that's fine. One day I'll probably get a house cleaner. I probably should actually get a house cleaner because I can't do it all. But, I think it's just kind of recognizing that those things about yourself and relying on, learning to ask for help. Right. And it's like, people are there to help. I have this team. Yeah. I have a team at my location. I have, my husband who's very supportive, and, we play on our strengths, and yeah, you just kind of got to get it done somehow. And if you can't do it, then you rely on other people to get it done, but things are still getting done.
It's so interesting to listen to you as a baby boomer. And in my world, we were taught to be super moms, super career people, super women, basically, to do it all. And in many ways, I think we as women are people pleasers. It's hard for us to say no to our children and family and clients. It's almost doesn't come naturally, right? We want to please. So as I'm listening to you as a baby boomer that went through all that, where I didn't set boundaries, I didn't say no, I didn't put myself as a priority, whether it was to work out or to even eat a decent meal, but it was work kind of thing. This to me is a beautiful thing that you're sharing, that you know how to still get things done. You have this desire to get to certain results, but that you have to delegate, pick a right team, do the pieces that you're good at. I mean, to me, this is an incredible message that you are sharing. I guess my question is, how the heck did you learn this? I mean, somebody should have taught me this when I was your age.
No.
Yeah, honestly, it's yeah. Like through COVID, I think I probably got better at it, to be honest with you, just because life kind of hit pause for all of us. And like everybody, like, I mean, I still made sure that I had my mental relief. I worked out actually way too much actually in COVID, like sometimes twice a day. I had to like, but anyway, I had to slow down that. I was like, yeah, this is getting a little extreme. But so I started like breathing exercises and things like that. That's the thing. I think it's just you have to be in tune with yourself and what you need. But I did actually have, you know, a few counseling sessions and things like that, and chats with people that kind of really helped me understand my own personality. And you know, so it's kind of staying just in tune with like what you need, like what is your personality, what makes you tick, what makes you whatever, you know, all that kind of stuff is just kind of really understanding yourself. And I have to work on it all the time. You know, I catch myself getting back into that people pleasing where I'm feeling that stress, or, you know, when you're snapping at your kids over something silly that you wouldn't normally do. It's like, why did I do that? Like they didn't, you know, it's just kind of, you know, and maybe I missed my workout that day. Like you have to be really in touch with like you. And I think it's also important to remember your why, you know, like with, you know, you guys asked me at the beginning, like, why did I want to do this? Well, I wanted to do it so that I could be a mom and enjoy my family and have that flexibility and do these things. So it's like remembering that, like, it's okay to say no to some things because this is why I've done it, so that I can go to hockey practice without being guilty that I'm, you know, putting a phone call on hold till tomorrow. Like, you know, it's just, yeah, but it's like you have to constantly kind of remind yourself of these things because you'll catch yourself sliding into those people pleasing patterns and, you know, wanting to do everything, because sometimes it is easier to think that you can just do it yourself rather than like stop and explain someone else how to do it. But like your life will be easier if you just take that time to explain to someone else how to do it, and then they just take it, and then you can get back to doing the things that you enjoy, and then you get back to that cycle of like it doesn't feel like work because you're doing the things that you enjoy. So it's like this, I don't know, it's a lot of inner work, I'm telling you, and a lot of breathing exercise
in here.
Yeah, a lot of kickboxing, you got to get that stress out, you know, like it's I don't know, it's balance, it's work, but it's worth it if you put the work in. Like we're complicated people, right? Like we're humans, we're complicated, we're all different. So I think it's just just be in tune with what you're about and what you need, really.
Ladies, I can honestly tell you that there were these exact pivotal moments, one in each of these past 2 decades. So without dating myself, but I had a pivotal moment in the past decade and a pivotal moment in this particular decade where I literally had to stop myself. And I remember exactly where I was standing in my house for one of these, where I stopped myself and I said, okay, I'm at the age where I need to slow down. For me, it was all about slowing down, because in rushing around, trying to get the boys situated, the partner accommodated, the dogs, the house, the work, it was so much that I don't know if I was like tripping on things or walking into the walls, but there was this moment, each of these times where I said, okay, I am going to start slowing down. And if that means that I get less things done, so be it. But what ended up happening for me was that when I got very intentional about slowing down, that's when my boundaries started to increase and I had more awareness of my boundaries. So that now I started knowing, I don't always, but I started knowing where to say no. And then the real opportunities and the really important situations or things that I had to attend to started to appear and become more obvious and more front and center in my life.
Totally. I remember, so one of the ladies that I was talking to through COVID, and she actually did our big keynote. She was our keynote speaker at this year's 30-minute HIT Summit. And what she said to me is that, you know, she was always telling me, Stacey, you got to learn how to say no. Because here I am like all frazzled or whatever at the time. And she's like, got to say no. And I was like, yeah, I know, but it's so hard. She's like, but she said, like, well, when you say no to some things, it allows more room to say yes to the other things.
Right things, yeah.
Right. So I was like, like sometimes you just yeah, because it's true. It's like with you saying yes to every single thing or every other person or dropping what you need to do to please someone else or help someone else all of the time, you're saying no to a lot of the other opportunities that are out there. So it's like, it's okay to say no, because you're just making room for more opportunities to come in. So yeah, you just reminded me of that when you were telling that story. So
it's a really, really important point. I'm much older than the two of you, and I have to tell you, I am only now learning it. And I'm only now learning it because of health issues. So I hope everybody that is listening to Stacey about boundaries and doing what you love and delegating the rest and building a team are really listening, because the superwoman thing doesn't work. It just doesn't work. It has us miss opportunities, as you mentioned. It can cause physical and mental health issues. And in my case, it made me grumpy. Just made me grumpy. I would say yes to something, and then I would be there, and inside I'm going, they're stealing my time. They're taking my time. I could be using this time for something else. But it was me that said yes, right? It was me that said yes.
Yeah, I know, right? And then you're kicking yourself. Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. I want to dig a little deeper, Stacey, into this idea of doing what you love, because this show is about passion and purpose and profits and relationships. So every business has stuff that we don't like to do. I mean, life has stuff. I don't want to do dishes, right? But every business has stuff we don't like. How were you able to kind of go, okay, this is what I love to do, and this is what I'm going to focus on? And how did you go about attracting and bringing the right people on board to offload those pieces that either A, you weren't particularly good at, or you just flat out didn't enjoy doing?
Well, I'm lucky, like my husband and I own our location together, and we really just do everything together. And we are very different people. Like, he would go to school just for fun, whereas I was like, see you later, high school. So he's very naturally into kind of like the more business, like the accounting side and like those type of things. Like, he enjoys that. He's very organized when it comes to that. Whereas I am very front end, people-y, like, that sort of stuff. Like, we joke about it all the time, because my younger son is like me, where when he's around people, he's like re-energized. And my older son is like my son, where when they're around a bunch of people, they like lose their energy. Like, they need a nap after they've been like around people. So again, it's just kind of like, knowing he knows who he is. I know who I am. Together, we're great at what we do. But like, he would probably not be he could do what I do, sure, but he would be like, after. Yeah. Whereas I'm like, woo. And then for accounting, I'd be like, oh, and he'd be like, right. But he's fine with it. Like, he'll sit there and he'll do it, and he's good. So it's like, and it's the same thing when it comes to like our team at our location. Like, I have one girl, she's super organized, and she's kind of like the mama hen of the group. Like, she's just naturally that way, and she was just naturally kind of picking up duties, and so she does my scheduling, and she's helps me train new people and things like that. Then you have like the younger generation who's really on top of it with like social media. It's like, okay, like, you're probably going to be good at this. I'm not going to force somebody that doesn't like to be in front of the camera to do my social media for me. Like, that doesn't make sense. It's not going to get done. Like, you just know that, like, it's not going to get done. So it's not the right person. So I think it's just like kind of looking at it, like paying attention when, like, if you give somebody a task and it's taking like 6 months to get it done, and it's like, it could have been done in like 2 days, that's probably, it's not something they enjoy. They're not going to do it. Like, people are just like that. They'll put it off, they'll procrastinate, they'll put it off. So it's just like, I just recently hired like a virtual assistant, and I was reluctant to do it for a long time, because again, you have this like natural, like, I can do it all, whatever. But like, she kept listening to me, talk about, my life, and like, I'm crazy busy and blah, 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 blah. And like, I'm happy, but I am very busy, and it's crazy. And she's like, I can help you. And I was like, I finally caved, and I was like, okay. And I let her help me and take some stuff off my plate. And she's so organized, and she keeps me organized, and she reminds me when I have things, and I'm like, oh yeah. Like, it's like, she's just, and so again, it's just like, that's what she's good at. Would she be good at doing like the front end side? No, she's good at what she does, but she helps me be better at what I'm good at. So it's just, I think it's just like being observant, paying attention. It might sound silly, but like I learned recently about like the Enneagram personalities.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with it. Yeah.
Right. And it's like, I think that they're so accurate. And I think it's good to learn about your own personality types, because then you realize and you read the other ones and you're like, wow, like everybody is very different. Like how I am is not how somebody else is, how I react is not how somebody else is going to react. Like, my husband, if you read ours together, like I'm constantly sharing him his, and I'm like, this is so you, like, and it's just like, I don't know, like, it's just paying attention to like how people are, who they are, what they're good at, and just kind of focusing on that. Everybody's going to be happier if they can do the things they like. So I try to delegate to people things that they're good at, that they enjoy doing, if they're good at it and they like it, do you know what I mean? Like, they're just,
I know exactly what you mean.
And then everything just like this smooth wheel. Like it's not trying to fit a square hole into a round peg. Like, don't give me our accounting books. They're going to be wrong. Like, I'll get someone else to do it if my husband doesn't want to do it anymore, because that's not something I'm going to do. Like, so it's, yeah, I think it's just, you just have to be really observant to yourself and kind to yourself, and like take that time to slow down and understand yourself, and then look around you as well and pay attention to that.
Rebecca, I'm wondering if Stacey has ever taken the Zoracle profile.
I don't know if Stacey has or not, but we'll send you a link to take our assessment. Since you love profiling tools, you'll probably love this one too, because
I would love to.
Specific to franchising. So I'm actually curious, in the Enneagram, what number are you?
A 2.
You're a 2. I'm a 3. But it's interesting because it is a mindset change from generation to generation. In my generation, we were told we had to do it all. In your generation, you learn that it's about a community effort, right? That here's who I am, here's who you are, here's how we can work and play together. You're going to feel fabulous because you're using your talents and gifts, and I'm going to feel fabulous because I'm using my talents and gifts. And we're going to get a whole lot further with a whole lot less energy because we're working together. To me, this is, again, just an incredible opportunity for all of us. But it does start, like you said, with self-awareness. You took time, and COVID has given us some of that time, right, to be more self-aware and ask ourselves, as you pointed out, what is my why, and where am I gifted and talented, and what brings me joy and pleasure, and what do I not do well, and who does that thing well, and how can I build that team around me. So
yeah,
you are to be commended. I'm going to be curious to see what your life is like 5 years, 10 years down the road. It's going to be.
We'll see. We'll see. I don't know. I hope we have like hundreds of 30-minute hit locations so that they're in your area and you guys can go, because like, honestly, the lifestyle that I wanted is one part of it, but I also knew how I felt doing the workout, and I wanted to bring that feeling to other people, because I really think, like, I was a super shy person before I found 30-minute hit, like, and then I went from being super shy to like having to project my voice and like train people and be completely out of my comfort zone, like completely. When I first got on the floor learning how to train people, you couldn't even hear me over the music. And, like, it's like, you got to push yourself out of those things to just kind of the end goal, right? It's like, my end goal was this. Well, I had to do these things to get to that. Right. And it's regardless of what way, but that was, what way that goes. But yeah, it was scary. Like, I think you just have to kind of like, you have to set your mind, and you have to, like, if you're afraid, you have to do it anyway. You got to just do the things. It's got to get done. If that's your goal, you just got to do all the things. You got to walk through the fire and see what's on the other side. You just got to do the things. You know what I mean? Like, it's got to get done.
Which is in line with our earlier conversation about this high need for closure that you have, right?
Yeah. The get her done, high need for closure. Yeah. And even doing it while uncomfortable or fearful or outside of our comfort zone, until such time we can have others step into that place doing those things that we don't particularly care for. But you do have a high need for closure. There's no doubt.
Oh, for sure. And like, I mean, there's a lot of times where like you can let the fear of trying new things or whatever, like, honestly, if you would have asked me like 15 years ago if I was going to be a kickboxing gym owner and, doing even this Zoom call, I'm not kidding, in high school, reading a paper, I'd be like, like red. Like I was just, like even when I first took on this position, I had to go and do a presentation in front of a bunch of people. And I have never felt that scared ever in my life. And everybody's staring at me and I have to talk about numbers. And it was like, there was all these like older men, broker type people, and then me, like, and I was just like, it was totally out of my comfort zone, but that's where growth happens, like, is just putting yourself out there and like remembering, your why. And then, just relying on your team. Like, if you think about it, like our whole life, we have teammates. We have our bankers, we have our accountants, we have our doctors. Like, we don't get through life just all by ourselves. We don't give ourselves our own medicine. We don't like whatever. So it's the same thing within our smaller circles.
True. So this always brings up the conversation because Tracy and I are fascinated with human behavior, personality, what makes someone successful. Those are things that we study and we're absolutely fascinated by. But it's interesting that you were saying you were shy, younger, you had this fear of public speaking, and now you've overcome, you did it, got through the fear, stepped into your comfort zone. Do you think people can change? Do you think underneath that fear was another part of you that has surfaced because you stepped up to the challenge?
Oh, definitely. Because like, honestly, I was so shy with public speaking, even in like a group of like, 20 classmates that were like my friends. I had to write this story once, and I'll never forget this because this is really embarrassing, but I had to write this story and it had to be like a point of view, but it had to be like not real, right? So I wrote this story. I don't know what, like, stupidest story, because as I was reading it out, like, I was like, my voice was quivering with nerves. And my English teacher at the time, he like thought this story actually happened to me because it was so hard for me to read it that he kept me, literally so embarrassing. He kept me after class and asked me if I need to like talk to somebody. I was like, no, I'm just so scared to talk in public. Like, and so, like, I think that if I would have let that fear, like, if I would have let the fear of like projecting my voice not allow me to open a 30-minute hit or whatever, like, and even further back than that, like, I don't know if I would have been able to get through that fear of pushing myself to step into like a co-ed boxing gym. I don't know if I would have been able to do that at that point in my life. Like, that really intimidated me, but having something that felt comfortable and inviting and something that, like, that I felt like I could walk into. I was still scared. I was still so scared on my free trial, still so nervous of trying something new and being afraid to look silly and like all that kind of stuff. And, like, I could have stopped myself multiple different times, but I think like that at least got me comfortable enough to walk in. And then if I would have let that fear happen of, oh, I can't do this. I've never thrown a punch before in my life. How am I going to own one? I can't yell. I'm so shy. I'm quiet. Like, nobody now in my life even like believes that I am.
No, I would not have believed that.
No.
And I'm not a behavioral scientist. I would not have believed that you were an introvert or that you were shy or had any of those fears. So, which goes to the nurture versus nature argument, right, Tracy, where maybe you were, by nature more shy, but by pushing the boundaries a little bit and stepping into that comfort zone, challenging yourself, saying this goal, this why is important enough that I'm going to develop this side of me. And you did. And now we see a more rounded person, more balanced person that isn't holding herself back.
Totally. Yeah, exactly. It's just like, I honestly think that like too, is like when we're younger, we don't know a lot about ourselves. We're just like trying to like survive high school and then survive the next stages. And then what comes next? Like we don't know what to do when they give us a baby to take home. Like, right? Like we're lost all the time. So I think that once kind of life like slows down a little bit in whatever capacity that looks like, is you can kind of take that time to digest, do some research on yourself, like learn your Enneagram type or do the Oracle test, like whatever, just to kind of, and then, just kind of just push yourself like to the life. You're not going to get the life you want by not making the changes that you need to do. Right. It's like, I still walk into a big room and have to do a presentation and I feel those butterflies, but at the same time, I have the confidence to go up there and do it. And I know I'm going to be okay because I've done it. But you're still, it's okay. But yeah, I don't know. It's you just gotta always work on yourself. It never ends. It never
ends. We always I always say God is not through with us yet. We don't know what we're capable of. All right. I hate to do this, lady. We're at the top of the hour. Tracy, any final questions, final thoughts from you? I want to make sure we get your contact information too. So Stacey will do that in just a second.
Yeah, we're giving you a rough time today, Stacey and Tracy.
I know.
So for me, the word that keeps emerging throughout this whole conversation is grace. The grace that we extend to other people, now turning it inwards, extending it to ourselves, doing the work, allowing ourselves to do the work that we love, allowing ourselves to have these reprieves, allowing ourselves to slow down, allowing ourselves to find our strengths, allowing ourselves to talk to a therapist or a friend to get to some of these core issues. It's all about extending the grace that we would normally extend to others, extending it to ourselves so that we can truly be happy and have that emanate from our core.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well said. Stacey, we really appreciate you spending time with us. This is a topic I think we could talk on for hours. I want to make sure folks know how to learn more about 30-Minute HIT and also get hold of you to learn more about you and this opportunity. How would they do that?
You can go to the website. The franchising website is my30minutehit.com, which is like 30minute and then HIT.com. And then if anybody's interested in hearing more about the opportunity or anything like that, you can just request access to our Franchise Discovery Center, which is every new candidate that's wanting to explore, they get access to this. And at that point, they're also put in touch with myself, and I will reach out and get in touch with them and talk to them about the opportunity and all that sort of stuff. And it's honestly, it's life-changing for our members. It's life-changing for our owners. I know it's been life-changing for me. That's part of the reason why I love my role now with corporate and helping, people learn about the brand, open their own locations, because I know it's been like life-changing is probably even like too small of an explanation on what it's done. But that's probably the best way to explain it. So reach out through my30minutehit.com, or you can just reach out to me, Stacey, Stacey at 30minutehit.com. But I'm happy to talk about 30-Minute HIT all day, or Enneagram personalities, or whatever.
I love it. Thank you guys for both of you for your time today. And for those of you listening in, I hope you walked away with some golden nuggets. I know I did, some that I wished I would have learned a long time ago. We appreciate you listening in to the Franchise Woman podcast, where passion and purpose collide, profits are made, and relationships are forged. We'll see you next week for another episode.
Thank you.